I want to share some of the creepy things I find being mailed through the US Post Office. And if you think we don't look, yeah, we do. If we have any grounds for suspicion, we can run a package through scanners without even having to fill out a form. Then if we see something in the X-ray which might contain something illegal or a safety hazard, we're allowed to open it. And yeah, pretty much anything can look like something illegal if you put your mind to it. But that doesn't stop people from still sending the weirdest shit. They count on the volume of packages being way too high to inspect each one, and usually they're right. Here are a few times they were wrong. A human finger. It still had its wedding ring on. I guess one lady didn't think divorce papers would send a strong enough message, so she sent her whole finger. At least, that's what I'm assuming it. We got a string of letters headed to the same destination, all without a return address. Inside were pictures of a politician, sorry not saying who, naked, in a hotel room with a girl 20 years younger than him, threatening him if he doesn't cough up drugs. You have no idea how many people are using dark web websites to send drugs. If they're packaged right, it's pretty impossible to tell, but others are sloppy. A coffee can full of marijuana, which I could smell from a room away. A syringe full of heroin with a handwritten label reading insulin, cocaine in a sugar bag, you name it. The weirdest thing I've ever found was what came in 2 weeks ago, and it's why I'm writing this post now. Real ordinary envelope with red lettering mixed in with a bag of other ordinary letters. I wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't watched the guy drop it into the box a minute before I collected. He was wearing these old-fashioned monk robes like you'd expect to see in a medieval monastery. I forgot about him until I was unpacking the bag at the office, and I saw the red lettering. The address was starting to smear, and there was no mistaking, it was written in fresh blood. If that doesn't count as grounds for suspicion, I don't know what does. I opened it to find a list of 12 names, also written in blood. The first 4 were crossed out. At the bottom of the list it said, "Give me 6 months for the rest. Destroy the letter, and do not tell anyone." I tried Googling the names, and over the last 3 months, all 4 had committed suicide. I forwarded the information to the police and they said they would investigate, looking for any connection with the remaining 8 people. There was another letter from him, collected from the same box last week. It was the same list, but this time there were 5 names crossed off. I googled the 5th name and you guessed it, suicide 2 days ago. Almost the same list anyway. My name was added to the bottom. At the end of the list was written, "I told you not to tell anyone. Do not try to find me." Well, I didn't have to find him, because I knew where he was dropping the letters off. If I could just explain to him I wasn't a threat, if I promised to not tell anything more, then maybe he'd take my name off. The police weren't finding anything, and I couldn't think of any other way to protect myself. Yesterday I waited at the same mailbox he dropped off at, right on schedule. Same time he dropped the other letters. The cloaked figure was there. He was walking strangely though, like he could barely move his legs. He was struggling to even lift the letter up to the mailbox. I confronted him and begged him to take my name off the list. I swore I would stay out of his business. I didn't even care if the others died. I just didn't want to be one of them. He didn't answer me. The figure seemed to be struggling under his cloak, and then he was the one to drop to his knees in front of me. Why would he be begging from me? Was he afraid I'd turn him in? When he still didn't answer, I pulled the cloak back to reveal his face. His mouth was gagged. I helped him out of the cloak, and found his legs and arms were tied too. No wonder he was having trouble getting the letter in the box. Who did this to you? What's going on? I asked him. He opened the letter and crossed out a name. Was that it? Was I off the list? I took a step closer to see, but then he pulled out a handgun, right in front of me. I backed up so fast I fell right on my ass. But he wasn't pointing it at me. He was pointing it at himself. One shot, straight to the temple. He was dead before he hit the ground. You might think I'm an asshole for this, but even before calling the police, I went for the letter. All I cared about was that my name was crossed out, the sixth name on the list. I checked it against his driver license and yeah, same name. Not only that, but my name had been moved. I'm now number 7, the next one up. Written below the list, it said, "I told you not to try and find me."